disaster. This is your host, Will Carey. Thank you for downloading and tuning in. I appreciate the fact that you're here. On the show today, comedian Adam Sokol, guy I've known for a long time, never really sat down and had a chat with. And we were on a show together recently in Greenpoint in Brooklyn, and I thought that maybe I should sit down and talk to him. And we actually, it's Thursday when I'm recording this. We actually had sat down on Monday and had talked for about an hour. And then it was after Adam left that I realized that I had, and this is the silly mistake on my part, because I am using a mixer when I record for the first time. Normally I'm just plugging directly into a Zoom H4n, my microphones directly, but I thought this time I would give it a shot and record with the mixer, and I didn't plug the cables in far enough. So that was a oopsie on my part, and luckily Adam was nice enough to agree to come back. So we're going to, he's on his way over now. We're going to sit down and we're going to have a chat, and we're going to see where this goes. So I appreciate you guys being here. It's a hell of a hot day in New York when I'm recording this. This is also the day that three huge events took place today. Today, both Roger Ailes, the former head of Fox News, passed away, who I can't say I have. And to be honest, I mean, of course, I'm sure there are people close to him that are affected by that, but this man, I felt, was kind of from the allegations against him, kind of a bad person. So I can't say I have too much sympathy for him based on what he's accused of doing to women who working at Fox News. And Chris Cornell, frontman for Audio Slave and Soundgarden, died last night apparently in Detroit. And that's a shame also, because he was, when you want to talk about bands that were influential as part of the early 90s grunge scene, and an incredible vocalist, just a really powerful voice, and a really good singer. And from interviews I've listened to him, seemingly like a pretty solid guy. And to hear he was struggling with depression is something that I feel a lot of creative people maybe can sympathize with. So if you're out there and you're hurting, there's someone who wants to help. I don't know who that person is for you, but they're there. So know that you can find them. And also a guy drove his car through Times Square, killed a person, injured 13 other people. It's still unsure exactly who he is at this time, but I'm sure as more news comes out, we'll learn more about that situation. These are interesting times, and I appreciate you being here with me for them. So let's go to my chat now with Adam Sokol. Radio professionalism at its finest.
Boom.
Yeah, making it happen, Adam. I'm glad that you're back, man. I appreciate you coming back to do this after I messed up the recording last time.
Yeah, we had a lot of gold on there too.
Yeah,
so
I think
it's a shame that was lost for the ages.
Well, I think because I think we can get some of it back, and now I feel like now it's like we did a pre. It's almost like we did a pre-screen. Now we can just have a free flowing kind of kind of dig. The thing I remember we were talking, the big thing that we talked about, and we mentioned we were talking about this a little bit on the street. We briefly mentioned like the concept of communities around like sports teams, and then I feel like there's certain aspects of the appeal of comedy is that there's a bit of that community aspect.
Yeah, I mean that's true with anything.
As well.
Any jobs have, or anything you do as a community around it. Whether it's car salespeople or real estate agents or comedy. I mean, it's probably a little bit different doing comedy, but
I think so because and correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's a myth built into the path towards being a successful comedian that involves a lot of just sheer suffering that everyone goes through or should go through, and then you bond over that.
Well, I wouldn't know anything about what it takes to be a successful
No, I wouldn't either. But you listen. I listen to, like, whenever I listen to like comedians talking, like, oh man, I did shows at 4 a.m. for 5 asleep people, and that's how you become that's how you pay your dues doing.
Well, you gotta put in your licks. I mean, that's for sure. You gotta do shit shows, or else that's hopefully how you get better shows is doing shit shows with people who see you do those and like you, or also do a shit show with you, but they run a better show or know of a better show. So yeah, I think there's definitely you gotta put in your licks. You gotta do the 4 a.m. shows.
Yeah, I know, and I because and this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. Every time like people sometimes people go on stage and they'll like kind of just complain about how the show or the crowd. Every time I'm on stage, I'm like, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And even if it's at the comic strip at like 2 a.m. and there's one old couple who have just decided they're going to stick it out, I'm just like, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I don't like it when people spend a good portion of the set just like shitting on the room or shitting on the show. It's just you don't have to be here.
Right.
I'm sure there are any number of people who are also here who would just gladly hop up on stage for you. There's no reason for you to be here.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like in New York especially, for everything you don't want to do, there's 7 people that will fill in that place immediately.
Yeah.
Almost. I know we also talked a little bit, and I think you can attest to this as well. Like that, there's you have a group of people that you are kind of around a lot when you maybe start doing comedy on a more consistent basis, and then I feel this in my own life. Everyone that I kind of like was bonding with, like, is kind of splintered off.
Yeah.
And is doing their own thing. I don't know if that's been your experience or if that's a New York specific experience or not.
I mean, I think it probably happens everywhere. I mean, it's sometimes just some people finding their niche wasn't what they thought it was initially, but I don't know, a lot of the guys I came up with in Michigan, I'm still really close with, and most of them live out here, and the ones who don't, I talk to pretty routinely, but yeah, we still all see each other pretty frequently. New York people, I mean, I think there's a good portion I still see on a daily basis that I met 6 years ago.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I was psyched that we were on that show in at the Tender Trap.
Fun show
last week. It was a really fun show, and that's good that you do that, because I'm really bad at keeping in touch with people. Who are some? You said you're from Michigan. You're from just outside of Detroit.
Yeah.
And who do you know from Michigan that's in New York or is still in Michigan doing comedy?
Brad Austin, Nate Fritzen are 2 of my good friends that are out here currently. My friend Matt McClowry is in LA now. And we used to go to open mics and shows all the time in Michigan, and me, Brad, and Nate ran a show together here for a number of years, and we still hang out and talk often.
Well, that's good. At Beauty Bar, right?
Yeah.
How was doing that? You did that for how long?
5 years.
Weekly.
Wow.
That's impressive to me, because I find that just keeping like a consistent weekly show going in the city is so difficult. I have a hard time just managing a monthly and then trying to get my own spots.
I think it's almost easier to run a weekly just because it kind of becomes so routine. It just becomes habit that you don't even. It's just like, well, that's where I'm going to be every Sunday. You don't have to think, is this the Sunday? And plus, if you do a show weekly as opposed to bi-weekly or monthly, I think it's easier for people to remember that it's happening.
That there's a show happening,
unless it gets canceled, which we did somewhat frequently.
Mm-hmm. I remember, didn't you guys have something written about you? Like the article was about barking.
Nate was a featured barker. I don't remember where that was in, but he's a very distinct barking style, which is mostly just calling people idiots as they walk by, which works not frequently, but more than you would expect.
Yeah.
Whereas I a little bit too, I don't know, I'm a little bit too polite, so I just would softly say, please come to the show, and I would get ignored 1,000 times out of 1,000.
Yeah, I do not have I don't have the personality to stand on the street and bark to strangers. I just can't, like, it hurts my chest to do it. Did you ever bark for like comedy clubs or anything like that?
No,
when
never did that.
Yeah, I would rather not perform than have to do that to perform.
Yeah.
Oh man. So Michigan. Where from in Michigan were you from exactly?
Royal Oak was the city.
Royal Oak. That's right. And I was gonna ask you this last time. I can't remember if this is Royal Oak or not, but there's a city in Michigan that has a very large Muslim population. Is that Royal Oak?
No, that's Dearborn.
Dearborn, that's what it was. Okay. So Royal Oak's like more suburbs.
Yeah, I mean Dearborn's pretty. It's outside the city as well. It's it's technically a suburb too. It's like right next door to Detroit, but yeah, also a suburb.
Yeah, and did you like growing up? Did you go into Detroit a lot?
Not often. When we went to Tigers games. My dad and I would go to Tiger Stadium, not infrequently. Saw a couple. We saw the Nutcracker at the Fox Theater in Detroit, which was boring as shit. Yeah, occasionally, not often though. I don't think.
Yeah. So, Tiger Stadium is where Detroit plays baseball?
Yeah, used to. When I was a kid, that's where they play baseball. They moved to Comerica Park in '99, I think. So a while ago.
Yeah. So that was part of your childhood growing up as well, but baseball.
Yeah, I liked baseball as a kid.
I hear Detroit's fan culture is particularly fanatic. I saw a short documentary about this fourth tier soccer team that's in Detroit that I don't think many people outside of Detroit know exists. But they have this like the kind of traditional like European like hard fan ultras, like they'll march through like neighborhoods and they're the flares and songs and drums.
What's the name of the team?
Detroit City FC.
All right. 'Cause when I was growing up, I went to one soccer game with my next door neighbors. I can't remember the name of the team now. The Detroit something or other.
Yeah, it could have been. Maybe it was in. Like, how old are you?
36.
36. So you're a couple years older than me. I'm trying to think. That could have either, because I don't think. I mean, if it was the '90s, MLS might have been on, but MLS has never had a team in Detroit. I don't think. It could have been. Was it indoors or outdoors?
It was indoor.
Ah, yes. I remember the old indoor soccer league in the United States before MLS started.
There was only about 60 people there, I think. And I remember we were yelling at the opposing team, the Canton Invaders. And even though I had no team loyalty, I didn't have anything against the Invaders per se, but there was so few people that the players kept on stopping to look at us because we were insulting them. We're a bunch of children taunting grown men just trying to play soccer professionally, which I can't imagine was easy I mean, it's not easy now, and I can't imagine how awful it was back in the '90s.
Yeah, before the '94 World Cup, I think it was just like a wasteland. That like in between stage between when the old NASL was in operation and before MLS started. Yeah, I don't think there was much of anything.
Well, at least not in Detroit.
Yeah,
or Canton for that.
or Canton. But so baseball was the thing. What else were you into as a kid?
I was into comics, Star Trek. Those were the big ones when I was coming up.
What kind of comics?
I read mostly X-Men, but I got in a little bit to Batman and Spider-Man. As well.
Yeah, Batman. It was he's the guy I related to the most, other than the Hulk, because I have rage issues.
Yeah, and
I'm
a giant guy.
Right, exactly.
How tall are you? 6'6"?
6'7". Yeah.
6'7". Oh, that's a monster.
Yeah, and I'm also the number of times that people have never seen me stand up, like I'm sitting down and talk to him, and then I stand up, and they're just like, whoa. The number of times that's happened, I always still get a kick out of that. Even just like this afternoon, I was in Dwayne Reed, and someone's like, "Can you reach this for me?" I'm like, "Yes, I can." That's because I left the house today. It's my obligation.
Yeah, you gotta.
Okay, so you're into comics and baseball. I'm picturing almost like your quintessential American experience.
Yeah, I'd say it was pretty close. Play baseball down at the park with the boys, and then go read some comic books and skip some stones, all that good stuff.
And you get along with your family?
Yeah, we get along pretty well.
Oh, that's good. That's good. What did your folks do?
My mom she is currently a school social worker. And my dad worked for a company that made a parts company for auto industry.
That's right. I remember that we talked about this because I think I said before, my dad's a big truck guy.
Yeah.
So he was super excited to get these things he could install in his window, so he could crack the window when it was raining, and it would still deflect water.
Yeah, a little bit of fresh air. It's nice.
Yeah. It's absolutely. It's important to keep that air circulating, as he would say. So working in auto parts, again, classic.
It's a very Detroit thing to do.
Classic Detroit thing, and you're in school social work. God bless.
Yeah.
God for your mom for doing that, because my mom taught elementary school for 31 years, and the amount of people that are adults now that come up that recognize her or like will say, "Oh, your mom taught me. She was so great." Like I feel like you have like 1 or 2 bad years when you're really young. That'll take a long time to unfuck.
Yeah.
The one thing I find interesting about you is I don't pick up like on any sort of like menacing like dark qualities that you have.
Well, I don't consider myself menacing. That's
I mean, just like you don't seem like you wrestle with much.
Oh, I mean, I've got the same demons everyone probably does. Sorry, I'm leaning away from the mic, but I don't know. I'm probably more neurotic than most. Maybe I just don't wear it in my sleeve.
Like super in your head.
Yeah, very, very, very much so.
Like sort of like overthinking of like, oh, why did I do that? And then this mean.
Yeah, like re-going over decisions from 10, 20 years ago constantly in my head.
Oh my gosh, I do that as well. I do a lot of I will often convince myself, if I don't have like a show booked for a few weeks, that everyone in New York comedy has decided I'm a terrible person. And that I should go home.
Well, we do get together about that frequently. You're safe for now. But,
I mean, I hear
you're hanging on by a thread.
I mean, I hear that's what happens. I mean, I'm always booking trying to book diverse lineups, trying to do my own things, not trying to hurt trying not to hurt anybody, which is harder for some people. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, maybe you need to go the other way. Just book only white guys and try to hurt people. You're big. You can push people down frequently. You don't gotta worry about that.
Right. Yeah, that's a thing I hear a lot. Like if I'm in a crowded room and I need to like get through, a lot of people just tell me, just knock people out of the way, and I'm like, I can't do that.
Well,
because I will be wrong in any situation, even if I'm right.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious. Like, okay, so I'm curious at what point, because I think it seemed to me that what you were telling me before is that the impulse to start doing comedy was kind of sudden. Did you enjoy stand up early on in your life, or did that come later?
A little bit. I didn't really take it in too much. I think my first comedy tape was either, I think I had a Bill Cosby tape or two, and then I got Dennis Leary when I was a teenager.
Dennis Leary.
And that was really about it. I didn't really think of comedy too much as a thing that happened. It was just something that, Bill Cosby and George Carlin did, and that was about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I was. I listened to Bill Cosby's himself.
Yeah.
Like I had it on VHS when I was in like 5th or 6th grade, and I watched that just over and over again. And then I also had a Jeff Foxworthy CD.
All right.
Because like before I started doing comedy, I enjoyed all the blue collar guys. That was pretty big in my neck of the woods.
Yeah. And where's your neck of the woods again?
I'm from Maryland. I'm from I'm from a county that went to Trump in Maryland.
All right.
Kind of a more. It kind of has a more. I would say as a whole, it has kind of a more southern, that sort of more southern laid back kind of a approach to it. It's also on the Chesapeake Bay, so it's got that kind of like bay, like ocean sort of lifestyle. A lot of people with boats. A lot of people fish, that kind of thing, which I'm sort of into, but mostly it's just because that's how I spend time with my dad nowadays.
Is he a boat guy?
Yeah, he's a big boat guy, big hunter, big gun collector, loves auto racing.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy. I had this joke once, where if I knew my dad in high school, he would be the guy who would like beat me up. Like I have no idea how I am his son. I think I got most of my personality from my mom. I got my sense of humor from my dad. You ever?
Sorry.
Yeah. Do you ever sit and kind of trace like, oh, this is how this. I got this part of my personality from this parent. I got this part of my personality from that parent.
Yeah, I think I'm a pretty solid mix between the two, but I don't know. I think I'm a pretty good blend of both. I probably get my sense of humor more from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. My mom's got a pretty good sense of humor as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine you have to be to deal with kids who are in need of help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta have some something to get through to them. So let me ask you this: when you were through your high school years, did you continue to be were you like who were you in high school? Were you like a nerdy kid, or were you?
I was I guess one of the nerds who didn't do well in school at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I kind of was kind of schizophrenic in terms of personalities too, because I spent the first 2 years of high school being like a real hardcore hippie. I had like a stupid jean jacket with a whole bunch of stupid patches all over it, and then I just kind of did a 180 and decided I was a punk rock kid all of a sudden for my last 2 years of high school.
Nice.
I just kind of showed up one day. I was like, oh yeah, I'm this guy now, and no one bought it, obviously.
Yeah. Did you look the part? Like, when you say punk. Well, first let's talk a little bit about the jam band thing. Is that at all in relation to psychedelics or anything like that? Because I feel that jam bands and hippie music is, in my mind, eternally connected with a certain type of drug culture.
Yeah, I smoked a little bit of pot. I don't know, one of the years I was in high school. I don't remember which one, but not. I got brought home by the cops one day.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of put an end to my pot career for a while. But no, I guess I just really liked the Beatles and the Grateful Dead, and a bunch of other bands. But those were
those were the big two.
Yeah, the two most obvious bands if you're going to be into that. But
oh yeah, like Rubber Soul, or not Rubber Soul. That's the more acoustic folky one. Revolver.
Well, Abbey Road is my
Abbey Road,
my jam.
That's a great album.
I mean, I got nothing against Revolver or Rubber Soul. They're both great, but
yeah. No, some of my favorite.
Yeah,
no, some of my favorite songs are on Abbey Road. Come Together. Here Comes the Sun. Probably
the
like one of my favorite George Harrison songs.
The side B. Oh, the amazing.
Yeah, can't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Now I'm curious, when you switch into being a punk rock kid, did you look the look? Like, did you dye your hair? Did you have like?
I didn't dye my
studs?
hair. I had an old suit jacket that I put pyramid studs all over, which was really badass. I mean, I looked like your average 17-year-old poser, I guess.
Wait, this was in like mid 90s?
Yeah, late 90s.
Okay, so that could have been. I'm guessing like and Out Come the Wolves, like Rancid, NoFX, that kind of stuff. Those are good bands. Rancid have a new album coming out.
Do they? Is it any good?
I listened to one song. It didn't quite grab me the way some of their other stuff has, but I'm gonna reserve judgment till I can hear the whole thing.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I was really like the Dropkick Murphys was my big band.
Yeah.
I got really into them. I saw them, I don't know, at least a dozen times, and I loved all their stuff and just about every album they've put out since I've been an adult, I guess. And I was just like, yeah, this isn't really for me anymore. I can still put on like the first few and fucking love them, but I don't know, just about anything after Shipping Up to Boston,
I haven't really listened to too much after that either. But my favorite song they do is Sunshine Highway. Every time that song comes on, I remember I've seen them twice. The first time was at Warped Tour, but I think that was the more fun of the two, because the other time was at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, and I was up in the rafters. But at Warped Tour, they were the last band of the day. Me and my friend at the time, we were sunburned to death. We were like baked to a crisp, and we were exhausted. And I knew I was gonna have an hour and a half drive back home because I was home for the summer, and Sunshine Highway comes on. It's just this really like simple GCD kind of song, but it's just the most joyous celebration of just having friends. Do you know that song?
Yeah.
I love that. Every time that comes on, I just want to we're just just being idiots. Just so they're just so fucking good. I need to see them again. I also love that when Scott Walker used Shipping Up to Boston in at a campaign stop, they tweeted to him, "We literally hate you."
I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean it's funny. There's every campaign season that happens. I don't know
Every
why
single time.
they don't start checking with people first. It seems like they would save everyone a little bit of embarrassment. There's got to be a couple Republican bands that want their music in a commercial or two. It just seems silly to just assume this band's gonna be okay with that, and then they embarrass you. Like again, every time.
Right. And it's literally not a big deal, maybe because it can't be a money thing, because compared to their other campaign costs, it's got to be negligible. But it's not too hard to say, hey, I want to use the song. Can I use the song? Okay, great. Or all right.
Yeah, we'll find something else. I'll get something by Pat Boone, I guess.
Yeah, like I can't. Like, I think the last campaign, Hillary Clinton, I'm guessing, probably had permission for that song. "This Is My Fight" song.
Oh, is that Katy Perry?
That is Rachel Platon, I
All
think
right.
her name is. That's like her like first really big hit.
All right.
Um,
She had any others since? Because I know the song, but I've never heard that name before in my life.
there are probably songs that her fans like, but I don't know if she's ever had like a really like omnipresent pop hit
All right.
yet.
Some sick Rachel Platon B cuts, but
Yeah, but it's for Hillary Clinton's campaign. I think it made sense.
oh, yeah.
Because they had like a bunch of celebrities did a music video about it, so I think they had permission. But yeah, it's always weird. Or like you even go back to when Reagan used "Born in the USA,"
Yeah.
and Springsteen was like, "I don't think you know what this song is about at all." It's just it's people talk about politicians being out of touch, and the music and their music choices are like the quickest way to
Yeah, just epitomizes it.
pick up on that. Because at a certain point, like when you have that much money, like what music do you listen to like identify with? Like
Jay-Z, I guess.
I guess you got to transition to hip hop. That's the only genre I can think of that's where it's cool to just be kind of all about the money.
Man.
And not all of it, obviously, but there's a decent portion of it.
No, Jay-Z's a big fan of having money.
Yeah,
Not that there's
he's
anything
just-
wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just a big fan of money. Cool. So, I'm curious to. So you go through high school, and you what's your plan for after high school? At what point what was your goal at that point?
When I was leaving high school, I wanted to. I don't know if I had a concrete plan. I was going to go into political science. I didn't really know what I was going to do with it, but that's what the initial goal was. And then I kind of thought about teaching when I got to college, teaching government or politics at a high school level. So that was the plan for a while.
Mm-hmm. What sparked your interest in political science?
I don't really remember. I think I just read. I had to do a report. I was just assigned like a report on different government systems, and I started reading about it, and I don't know. I liked. I scratch that. It was the book Animal Farm, which was assigned
Animal Farm.
in high school. That's when it was the first book I read about politics. It's probably one of the first books I actually read, and really liked it. And then read other books by Orwell, and got into politics from there.
Cool. So Animal Farm. And it's been a while. It's been a while since I've read that book, and 1984. So an interest in, and does Animal Farm have some sort of like I don't even know if I'm using this word correctly, autocratic sort of like domineering ruler?
Yeah.
Like the pig, right? It's
Yeah,
a boar.
Napoleon.
Yeah, and 1984, an omnipresent controlling government. Was that's interesting. That's interesting to me because I know so many, and I don't think you're this, but I know a lot of comedians that are like conspiracy theorists.
Oh yeah, not me at all.
Like but I feel like it's a quick skip and a jump to that. Was the dynamic of power structures at that level at all a thought for you?
I always liked the mix of in terms of Animal Farm. It was just I just thought it was so like the history of the book where he wasn't allowed to publish it because it was too critical of Russia, who was an ally of the UK at the time. I thought it was interesting. I just thought it was so funny and dark at the same time. I don't know. It just really caught my dumb 15-year-old brain the right way. I mean, yeah. I mean, when I was in high school, I got into I don't know if it was conspiracy theories, but you know, I wear my flag upside down, and you know, the UK is the USA is the evil empire and stuff like that,
Right.
and it, you know, probably is a little bit, but not when you're in high school, you're so hyperbolic about everything, so there
Yeah.
probably was a part of it. It's just like, this is about America, man, you know.
Yeah. And is there any overlap with that in your punk rock identity?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I feel sometimes the two are almost hand in hand.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever see Anti-Flag?
Oh yeah, I saw Anti-Flag.
Me too.
What
I've
a-
seen them like 6 or 7 times.
What a silly group of people. I mean, they make a catchy song, but
They
Jesus
do.
Christ.
Oh, yeah, they're a little too hardline for you.
They're
now?
just I'm always turned off by anyone who takes themselves that seriously, whether it's a punk rock band or I don't know, fucking a comedian, an artist, whatever. If you just are that into what you're doing and you think it's that important, it definitely is not. And that goes double for punk rock bands who have anarchy symbols in their logos. No offense, Andy Flag, if you're listening, or any member of Against All Authority. I don't want you to think I am authority, but
Yeah, there's one thing. Yeah, another on a similar vein. I still love them, even though there's, you know, when I was I think when you're younger, it's a lot easier to be idealist.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like this is how this has to be, but like you don't know enough yet to see like the other side, or like the full picture. So I don't know if I'm cynical or disinterested, because I'm definitely paying attention more since the election and Trump's inauguration. I don't know if I'm cynical, but is it like, does age bring with it an inherent cynicism or disinterest, or do you just try to find other ways to be more effective in protest or change?
yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it's cynicism. Maybe I don't know. Realism's a dumb way to put it, but it does tend to make you more realistic in terms of goals. That's you just see how hard things are when you're you know, a teenager, when you're 18, 19, whatever. You just don't think about the realities of what you're spouting entails.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know if that's cynicism. It's just, yeah, you get more realistic about shit.
Yeah. Still hold the same opinions, but there's a little bit more of a crafted approach, I
Yeah,
think.
and also you usually got other shit going on. You can't just worry about bringing down the system all day.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to bring down that system.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of
And if Anti-Flag can't do it, what chance do I have?
yeah, there is I did hit a certain point with punk rock where I was like, oh, some of the people in the scene are as close-minded as the people they're rallying against.
Yeah.
And I don't think Anti-Flag fall into that necessarily, but there's definitely some fans of like, oh, that's not punk, or this is punk, or man, if you're successful, you're a sellout. And I'm like, that's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
You might find this is funny. I actually, one of the times that I saw, I've run into the members of Anti-Flag a couple times. One of them was at Occupy Wall Street,
Yeah.
down in Sakati Park. I have photos. Me and this vegan punk rock performance artist I'm friends with. Seems like
Alright,
such a
yeah.
such a New York sentence, but they went to Sakati and played a brief acoustic set, which I thought was kind of cool.
Can they still rock? Are they still around?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I think they're touring in Europe right now. They put an album out I think it was last year, called American Spring. Oh, sorry about that. That's good, but it doesn't. It just doesn't hit me the same way. I'm still gonna buy their albums. Same with Rise Against. I've seen them like 5 times.
I don't know them.
They're pretty good. They're a little harder,
All
maybe,
right.
but they're still pretty melodic. I can send you some links because I didn't know that you had this side to you.
Oh yeah.
This is good to know. So you go to school for political science, and you're not sure what you're going to do, but you thinking you're going to do something.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
Wayne State in Detroit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
Good. Nice school. I went to community college for a couple of years, and then Wayne State for a couple of years.
Yeah. And college experience was good.
It was fine. I mean, I worked at a car dealership during the day, just about the entirety. So I lived in an apartment in Royal Oak, and I worked during the day, and then went to school usually like 7 to 10 or 6 to 10 or whatever. Most nights. So it wasn't like yay college. It was just I was just a real boring person who worked during the day and went to school at night.
Yeah. Were you selling cars?
No, I was a personal assistant for 2 car salespeople.
That's probably better.
It was it was a good job. I was there for a really long time. They treated me well. I did get a job when I first moved here. I tried to get a job like cleaning cars or whatever at a car dealership in the area, and they told me they didn't need anyone to do that. They wanted me to sell because I had experience working at a dealership. Yeah. And I worked there for 3 days, and it was the worst thing I've ever done. So I quit. I just left and never came back.
Yeah. Oh man, I again, like commission-based sales, I don't have the personality to try to persuade people into getting into things.
Yeah, it was. I'm not good at that, and it was a borderline criminal operation. Yeah. And I sold one car to the sweetest Methodist minister, and I felt so guilty. I never went back.
Wow. I'm so the criminal empire thing, because I've had a number of jobs. I've had like so many different jobs since I moved to New York, and I feel like some businesses in New York are just able to exist despite breaking a lot of rules and not like being up to code on certain things, and not fudging like numbers as far as like hours worked and overtime. And I worked in this office for like 3 years that like was really dimly lit, and they would do work they would like have contractors come in during the day, and the room got filled up with dust at one point. Neat. And the number of times I like got this close to just taking the heads off and going, fuck all of you. But I needed that $10 an hour. That's the last job I'll ever get that's posted on Craigslist.
Yeah, that's usually not a great way to get a job.
I feel this is the moment in the podcast where we've really this is the moment in the podcast where we've hit like the good part. Yeah. Don't get a job on Craigslist, kids. There are better options. Even ZipRecruiter. There are a lot of. If you're on ZipRecruiter and anybody texts you about a job, don't get that job.
Not the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't trust any company that comes after employees like somebody trying to fuck late at night. So did you finish college, or you left?
I did not. I left.
You left, and then you started doing comedy at that point, right?
Yeah.
I'm very curious about the Detroit comedy scene. I know we've talked a little bit about Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle.
Yeah.
Which that's like the big club in that area.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's that one, and then in Ann Arbor, there's the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that place. Is that a good club?
Both are great.
Awesome. I'm curious. I want to ask this about you as well. What do you think makes a really good comedy club really good?
I mean, management that gives a shit is a big one. Mm-hmm. owners and managers that actually, I mean, I know it seems like ridiculously small, but ones that watch the shows is a huge thing. You go to some of these clubs where they've just never, they don't seem to know anything that's happening on the inside of the room.
Yeah.
And the shows are generally garbage. Their audiences are usually shitty.
Because they're just brought in with like free tickets, so they don't really care about the show.
Yeah, they just care about selling drinks. They don't really give a shit about what happens. I mean, I can't say this is true, but for all of them, but ones that usually owners that book it themselves, those clubs tend to be better.
Yeah, because they're invested in the show itself.
Yeah,
you could just leave it down. I'm sure it'll be fine. It sounded pretty good to me. I don't know how it sounds to you.
It sounds fine to me.
Cool. No, yeah, I'm amazed because sometimes, granted, getting people in the room, if you're a more or less a restaurant that has live performance,
yeah.
if and you're open a third of the time than a normal restaurant is. I was talking with Will Watkins about this. You've got to you're hyper focused on getting as many people in as possible, and then making sure they drink while they're there. That's an interesting aspect of nightclub comedies specifically that I had never really thought of before, are the guys that not only will people come out to see them, but the people who come out to see them are going to spend money when they're there.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, what so you did those, did you do those clubs a lot when you were first starting? Did you like do bringers or anything like that?
There was another club that I would do called Joey's that has since gone, but they would do bringer contests every now and then, but I mostly just did the open mics at those three clubs, and then there was a couple other open mics around that I used to do pretty routinely.
Is there an overall vibe of comedy in Detroit that you could distinguish from comedy in like New York? I
mean, aside from the accents, no, I don't really think so. I don't think it's that drastically different than comedy anywhere else. Are you talking like comedian wise, or?
I'm talking. I guess I'm maybe thinking more like. I'm thinking maybe more like audience wise, like what do audiences respond to? Because I have this idea in my head in New York, like when I do club spots, I'm trying to hit jokes really hard and really quickly because I don't want the audience to have any opportunity to like fight back at me.
That makes sense.
Makes any sense?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always found, I mean, club crowds, the nice thing about them is that, I mean, for the most part, all those people paid money to be there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, we're Brooklyn bar shows, you're usually just begging people to come in just to put, 5 asses in the seats, whereas a comedy club, those people, they're there to have fun. They want to laugh at you. Sometimes they are not going to fully get on board with what you do, but I don't know. I think they tend to be, the Midwest clubs, Midwest crowds tend to be pretty solid.
Yeah. I'd love to perform more in the Midwest. I've never really spent much time there. I've been to Texas, but that's not really the Midwest.
No.
That's not the Midwest at all. I also haven't been to the West Coast either. I've done stand up in Japan, but I've never done stand up in California.
I've been to San Francisco once, but not LA.
That's good because I love having just a crowd that's there for the show makes such a big difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Just such a big difference, even if they don't get like, because I don't know if you had this when you were starting early on. Let me also ask you this: was there any kind of what you would describe as like an alt scene, or any venues where? And when I mean that specifically, because I know that's it's almost like a meaningless word nowadays. Were there like, I guess I'm mostly mean, or were there pockets of shows where maybe you could do like, get away with like maybe doing like obscure references, or like you could do, maybe a little bit more involved of a bit than you would at like a nightclub?
There was a few open mics. There was a couple open mics that were a little bit better for that, and then me and some friends tried to get a bar show going, but we just we didn't have any luck with it. Right now, there's a bunch of just amazing bar shows out there. So
Oh yeah.
maybe it was just a matter of time before, or maybe we just really were fucking terrible at it, and that's why we couldn't get any off the ground.
Right. And then it just, well, if you're new, I mean that's
That's true.
to be expected. But I guess there's maybe people that stayed there and are building it up.
Yeah, there's a few people who've been out there for a long time and have got, pretty impressive shows going on.
Excellent. That's always good to that's always good to hear, because those are ways. Because when I think about how do you build a following as a comedian, I always compare it to like being in bands. You got to go out and you got to do shows. It's just more difficult because it's you, and you got to turn over material real quick if you're gonna cash in on having fans, so to speak. So I like that there are still. I'm glad that there are big shows popping up across the country that have those built-in audiences that people can get on.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. So you're how long were you in Michigan doing comedy?
4 or 5 years.
Okay. And did you have a girlfriend at this point?
We started dating pretty shortly after I started doing comedy.
Mm-hmm. And I asked you this before as well, because I do feel that sometimes that I'm failing at the balance of being a comedian and having a successful relationship.
Yeah.
Were anything you had to learn or adjust to as far as like having this thing, and also making sure that your girlfriend wasn't neglected?
I mean, she probably was, and continues to be so now that she's my wife. But yeah, so no, I guess I haven't really learned anything in that regard.
Yeah. How do you find? What do you do to make sure you find a balance between those two things?
I mean, it's just a matter of she's been having a shit time at work. That take a night off, spend the evening with her. Trying to leave a few nights a week to hang out with her.
Yeah, that's good. I had a hard time doing that when I first started dating my girlfriend, because I was still in that mind of, if I'm not doing 5 sets a week, then I'm never going to be successful.
Yeah.
Which I don't know which is probably true for some people and untrue for others. And I think we talked about this as well, and this is probably one of the smarter things I've heard. The other one was I was talking with a friend of mine about how comedy is always the last thing in a bar before it goes out of business.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, it makes sense, because it's minimal setup, and a lot of people just line up to do it for nothing, and so it's attractive to horrible and lazy people."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, that's a brutal way of summing up what I've dedicated a lot of years to." And then you said that most comedy advice is bullshit.
Yeah, I read all of it probably, aside from what I just said, which is obviously not. But yeah, I don't, because there's no roadmap, because there's 1,000 different roadmaps, and all of them are probably right for some people and wrong for others.
Right.
When people say you have to do anything, it's generally wrong.
Yeah, you really don't have to do anything, because if you get into have to do stuff, then, and I've had this thought too, at that point you should just have like a regular job.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, because presumably you started doing comedy because you enjoy it, like you like being on stage.
Yeah.
So why waste time? Why do something you don't enjoy doing? Because then you might as well just have a regular job.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's all, and because again, what works for some people will not work well for others. Like people who are excellent, like on the radio, not all of them could probably write a script. Probably not everybody who can write a really great script is good on the radio.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that a lot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I kind of like doing this. I would love to do another podcast where me and a couple of guests just talk about our favorite albums and we just break them down like song by song.
That'd be fun.
I would like to do that at some point, maybe to supplement this. But also on a similar note, like talking about comedy advice, I think Mike Racine posted something about all the comedy advice you get, and then he brought up how the podcast Come Town is just. I still don't know exactly how popular it is, but I looked at their patrons and they seem to be doing all right.
I don't. What is?
Oh, Patron's a website where people can, like, if say, and I'm gonna punch myself after I say this. If you're like a creator or whatever, you can get on that site, and to get like monthly donations from people, you can give them like special perks. So if you're like a podcast host, you can like, if you contribute for $5 a month, you could get episodes early, or you could get exclusive episodes that only people who donate get. Right. There's a web comic I follow, and he's got one as well. It's like, you could get this special strip that I don't put out on my website for free.
Huh.
Just like little extra goodies for people who want to.
And people pay money for this?
Yes.
Huh.
People do. I would be remiss, but some of the more successful ones, like, have you ever listened to the podcast Oh Yeah Dude?
No.
It's a pretty funny comedy current events podcast.
All right.
And their Patron, they have like hundreds of episodes because they've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
So you can donate and get back access to all of those. And if you're a big fan of that show, that probably is worth something to you. And if you get a lot of people doing that on a monthly basis, then you've got to
get some real money,
get some income coming in. And the podcast Come Town is doing pretty well based on their Patron. I don't know I knew Stavros from Baltimore, but I don't know Nick Callis super well, other than just like, hey, Nick Mullen. That's right. I mix up the Nicks sometimes. Sorry. Sorry, I went on this like long tangent.
I was curious. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah. It seems like again, if we're talking about like everyone's building like their own niche thing, that's a way you can benefit directly from it. Well,
there's a niche for people who want to hear about Come Town.
There is.
Come Town related.
Yeah, just all your cum related needs.
Yeah.
So when did you make the move to New York?
6 years ago.
6 years ago. So this 2010, 2011?
2010. Late 2010.
Nice. So that's about the time I moved here as well. And were you married at this point?
We got married right before we moved here, like a month prior.
Nice. Cool. And so you've been in New York for 6 years. You think you're going to stay here for the long haul?
Who knows what the future holds. I mean, we don't have any plans for going anywhere anytime soon. So I don't know. But we're not going anywhere anytime soon. My wife has mixed feelings about the city.
Yeah,
she used to just absolutely despise it, but she accepts it now. But I don't think she'll ever heart New York.
Gotcha. My girlfriend's born and raised in New York, so she's like through and through. So I think unless I get a job somewhere else, but we like to travel, so I kind of like having my roots here.
Makes sense.
Unless I've got unless again, I would go to Los Angeles for a little while if there was, a job to be had. But I've been on the East Coast my entire life, so I don't know if I can adjust to sunshine and good weather.
Yeah, that would be tough.
All the time. Let me ask you this: Is there anything you want to do comedy-wise that you haven't done yet? I know we talked about you want to write. Do you ever think you would want to write scripts or direct, or do you think you would want to do late night?
I don't know shit about directing. I I write. I mean, I'm very good. I'm very good at starting and never revisiting scripts. I've got a million that are, 10 pages long, and that's probably
Right.
as long as they'll ever be.
Uh-huh.
I do like writing topical jokes. I would. I mean, I think I would do well in like a writer's room, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, who wouldn't want that though?
Exactly. Like I feel like if I was just in a room with a bunch of comics and I was able to just like we were all just riffing on current events and ideas, I feel that's a skill that I have.
Yeah.
I just don't know how I'm just working on the marketing of that, because that's transitioning to like a late night packet is it's kind of like the jokes on the page versus like, oh, I'm really funny when I get around other funny people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
so
get around other funny people and then write down down what you're saying.
now that's some comedy advice that I
Yeah.
think
That's
I
not
think
bullshit.
can ring true. Exactly. That's a good note to come in on a nice smooth landing. Trying to think what else anything else I might want to ask you other than how you think how the Tigers are going to do this season.
I think they're definitely going to win the World Series.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would put it about 98% chance of that happening.
Fantastic. All right, so we'll revisit this. When does the World Series?
October.
October. Okay. I'm on soccer time, so
Right.
I don't. All right. So we'll have you back on when they win the World Series, and then we'll
Right.
discuss that.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to me, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, that's our show. Thank you for listening. As always, check my website, willcareyisfunny.com, for my upcoming stand-up dates, including my July 16th co-headlining show with Nasser at the People's Improv Theater. Sunday, July 16th at 8:30 p.m. I'll have a link for tickets in the description. And you can follow me on Twitter at ComicWillCarey. And thank you for listening, as always, and I will see you next week between Awesome and Disaster. Take care, everyone.